Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by. Today's Monday. I will post this on Tuesday morning. But guess what I've done today? Physically, absolutely nothing. I didn't even get dressed. Wandering around in my dress, well, actually sitting most of the time in my dressing gown, thinking to myself, I'm not only not going to do anything today, I'm going to enjoy not doing it. And watching a few obscure videos and things on YouTube and getting a few notes up to date and just pottering, literally pottering around. Why is that okay when I had such a worry in my Sunday chat? It's basically geared up to you lot, our heroes, every single one of you, because when I got up Monday morning, I didn't feel too clever. I didn't feel that good about saying what I said on Sunday and feeling the need to do so. And anyway, I got me coffee, fed the cats, give them a kick, get out from under my feet. Not really, of course. Love my cats. And sat down, opened up the laptop, and I just could not believe the number of comments. I thought, I'm going to be here till lunchtime dealing with this lot. Was that a chore? Absolutely not. An absolute pleasure to respond to each and every one. Next, we come to having decided that you're all heroes, and thank you very much for that. Thank you for bothering to leave a comment. And in amongst those comments, I've come up with some good ideas. But the most important thing I've come up with the fact is the fact that having stood there on Sunday and said it all out loud to the camera, once I'd processed that video, I sat down and started to do what I probably do best: plan. I am a planner. Many have said in the past, you're not a planner, you're a schemer. It comes to the same thing. It results in a sequence of events. It results in getting things in order and sorted. And I've now done it with your help. Because if I hadn't stood up and said it out loud, I wouldn't have got to that point where I could have made the plan, possibly. And in amongst your comments were some brilliant ideas. So again, big thanks. It's good stuff. Right, so going round, the first thing is we are definitely going to downsize. What I'm hoping to do is reduce the number of mounts to such an extent that I only need one hanging rack, because two is a bit cumbersome. Now, I might not achieve that. But there could be a few that are on mounts now that could go in pots. And several, I think, actually need to go in pots. So that's to be looked at. And then I started a series, one shelf at a time, or one shelf stroke rack at a time. And I've definitely decided, although Hannah will have the final say, or at least input to the final say, I am going to downsize. I'm not spending time, effort, potting media, pots, watering, RO water, etc. on plants that just will not perform. They're going. Now, I've combined that because I'm always conscious of the fact that where can I get a video? What's my next video going to be? Well, as part of the series of one shelf at a time, how about as I film that shelf and we talk about the plants, we decide which ones are going to stay and which ones are going to go, and the reasons why. You know me, I don't just do stuff. I always try and say why. What was behind the decision? So that's stage one of the plan. Is get rid of the dross, the stuff that is not performing very well, and in my mind probably never will. So that's that bit. That sorts out in here. Right, then we get out to the garden bit. Look at all that wisteria dying back. That's because it's been detached from the plant, but it hasn't been pulled down yet. I've thought about this. Now this lot down here is troubling because that's got to get to the tip. And a brilliant suggestion came up. Well, why the hell I don't think of these things myself, I really don't know. I should get out more, shouldn't I? Get in amongst the community and see what others do. But somebody said you can get like a frame to put your refuse, your garden sacks on that holds them open so that you can put the stuff in there yourself without needing somebody else to hold the bag. Brilliant! How the hell didn't I think of that? I get annoyed when things are so obvious and I don't think of them myself. Anyway, I've ordered one. I read that comment, stopped doing the comments, went straight online, had a look at what was around and what was suitable and ordered one. And that should be here within the next couple of days. That can be set up. You stick one of your refuge sacks in and you chuck stuff in there and then you lift the sack out, tie the top, put it to one side, etc. until it's all gone. When it's all gone, the bags can go in the car and go to the tip along with those big bits of timber. And I want to do that before I start again on the garden because it's in the way. It's going to stop me walking around and doing stuff. I need this area cleared up a bit before I start adding to it again. Now, getting up there looks like it's a ladder job. It's not. What it is my long-handled tool with an adjustment. I will show you. This is thinking, this is planning now. Of course, dark in here when you've been outside. This is my tool. It has a seriously sharp blade there, and you pull the string on the pulleys and that blade goes across that opening and cuts some pretty sizable timber. Now when you've extended this to quite high up and you're poking around in the bushes trying to get to a specific branch, that gets caught up and hooked up and stops you doing the job properly. Well, take it off then, stupid. So we will have a session without the saw blade, just cutting off the greenery. Just needs thinking through. So that will allow me to get at all that high stuff up there, which is mainly thin twigs. This is, you know, the ideal thing to go along the edge of that hedge would be a chainsaw, you know, or a hedge trimmer. But it would mean standing on something to get up there. I'm not doing that. So I'm going to use my extended tool for what it was designed for and just trim all that back and get it tidy. While I'm at it, I can drag that dead wisteria out. As I said, it's all been cut off, that's why it's died back. It just needs yanking out, basically. And to do that, I need to get underneath it, and to get underneath it, I need all that lot out of the way. So we're getting there. So that sorts out that side of the garden. Now we have something that I will negotiate with the agent stroke landlord. Look at the state of that. Never mind the piece of wood. That piece of wood is to block off the access to the back of the shed because there's a great hole under the fence now where next door have been playing around, which means the cats could get out of the garden. So I just stuck that there as a means of stopping the cats getting through. Now what I will do is I will cut that to size and make it a decent fitting so that it doesn't look so stupid. But look at the shed. It's getting in a bad way, isn't it? The roof's not so good either. It's starting to leak in the corner. The timber on the edge of the roof, the apex, that sort of pointy bit, that's warped and wavering and coming away from the shed itself. The main structure's not too bad, but that bottom corner, that bottom left-hand corner of the front is rotted. So the shed's not in good condition. But it would look an awful lot better if it had another coat of that green stain. And some of the fence has already had some green stain. And the trees moved a bit since it was done. And you can see how long ago it was done by the thin bit there is where the trunk was once, and look how thin it is. That's how long ago that fence was coated. Yeah? So that all needs doing again to make it look really good. And then we come on to here. These fence panels obviously have been replaced at some point, and they're not that old, but they haven't been coated up. And if they don't get coated up, they will deteriorate faster. Now, I don't know whose fence that is. We've got strange things with boundaries in this country. Whoever's boundary it is, owns it, is responsible for the fencing or the, whatever. They're responsible for it. And most places that have a back garden like this, they've got a bottom, well, that belongs to this house, and then they've got one side to the left and one side to the right. One of those boundaries will belong to this property, and the other boundary will belong to the property next door. And I don't know which way round it is, and quite honestly I don't care, because it's not my property. But wouldn't it look nice if the shed and all the fence panels were done in that nice dark green colour? Now, I don't mind doing the work for some strange reason, call it crazy. I quite enjoy painting. So I would be prepared to do the work if the landlord was prepared to pay for the materials. So if the landlord buys the paint, I'll supply the labour. So we do it between us, and I think that's a good deal. Apparently, according to next door, the landlord is tight as they come and will not spend any money unless it's absolutely necessary. That's why the windows are in such a state and all the paint's peeling off, because she refuses to do it. So I may not succeed. I might decide, given that the can of paint, enough to probably do all that, a 5 litre can, is only 20 quid. And to make it look really nice, I think it might be worth it, but that's to be negotiated. And then I've just been down this bit, down the bottom. We'll go out and have a look. Now, what have we got down here? What we've got down here is a maple tree that's hiding. Where is it hiding? That's the trunk of the maple tree. Now, that didn't fare well in the heat wave, but it hasn't died. The buds are all looking good. And everything in front of it needs to be gone so that the maple tree has room to move. Where does everything in front of it start? It all starts down here. So how easy is that going to be? Okay, it might go right up there, but how easy is it going to be to get rid of when you can cut it off down here? And it can fall down there and be cut up into smaller pieces. That now is not a big deal. Same sort of thing applies here. Look at the size of the trunk of the base of this plant. And it goes up in there at that thickness, but then it suddenly gets quite a lot thinner. So somebody's had a hack up there in the past. So that's the point of contact up there. My tall tool will reach that with the saw on now, not with the saw off, with the saw easily. And those big pieces will fall down and can then be cut up. So doing this, the only problem with this is the type of bush it is. Let me see if I can show you. It's covered in thorns. And when you get up onto the big pieces of wood, they start getting pretty serious. So I shall contact Hannah, I shall send her a text message and say that if you really want to get me something for my birthday, get me some heavy duty gardening gloves so that I can grab hold of these bits of foliage without getting prickled badly. These are nasty thorns on this. They're razor sharp for a start. They just go into you as easy as hell, and they immediately break off and leave the tip of the thorn below your skin level, so you can't get at it. Normally a splinter you can sort of catch hold of it and pull it out, can't you? These break off too low down, they go in deep, so we'll try and avoid that. So in theory that takes care of that. By getting rid of all this, what's behind it? Bamboo. That's much nicer to look at. And a maple tree hanging out over the top. And then we come round here. No we don't, because the bonsai are in the way. And we get to this point. Now, the wisteria can be cut back the same as on the other side. Bamboo bits that are sticking out and hanging out can just be trimmed off. They're not thick. You know, they just trim them off. That laurel is coming down to virtually ground level. This is the hard work now, because we're talking a serious bit of kit here. Actually, that one's not so bad. I can saw that down to ground level quite easily. And what's come up that wasn't there before is this. This has come up over the top. And I'm reasonably sure, not certain, but I'm reasonably sure that is mock orange, which has nice blossom on. It hasn't had a chance this year, it's been buried. And then we come round to this laurel bush, which is my big problem. And it's a big problem because that's how thick it is. This is a tree. And I want this down virtually to ground level. That's, you know, okay, I can take a wood saw to that and cut it off near the ground and let it fall down in the garden. But I've still got to get rid of it. So that's a big deal. That's a big piece of kit. The ash tree is coming off at ground level. That is not suitable for a garden this size. This is another one of these prickly bushes. That's already been hacked. And that was hacked possibly at the wrong time, because that huge section there has died back. There's no green on it. But there is still some green on other pieces. So that can just be trimmed. You know, the bits that are sticking out can just be pushed back. And then behind this ash and some more of the prickly bush that's extended, we have the camellia. Already forming all its buds, ready to bloom next year in early spring. So we won't be cutting that back, not until after it's bloomed, and I may not cut it back anyway. I mean, that's put on some reasonable growth this year, and that might be quite nice to go up taller and get up towards the top of the fence. All this stuff, shears, not secateurs, shears. Snip, 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 take it back to shape. And then we get round to here, and we've finished. Now that can't all be done in one go, but it can be done in bits. It can be done in bits when the weather is suitable and when I feel like it. Bonsai staging? No. Just no. The bonsai have got something to sit on. Now, okay, some of them are on the decking, which is effectively on the ground. That's not ideal, but it'll do. And they're not in the way, because I'm not going to be out here much in the winter, so they're okay where they are. When I'm working on these large bushes and cutting them down, they'll have to move, because that lot will fall on top of them. That's not a big deal. Yeah? If I decide, right, I'm going to have a go at that bit today, we will move these over here. So we're... God, these birds are cheeky. I'm only about 6 foot away from that feeder, and they're not taking any notice of me at all. That could be their end. Yeah, so the bonsai staging goes off the list. So the worry about doing the phone call, going to get the timber and everything is gone. I've got the legs, I've got the screws, I've got the saws, I've got the workbench. I don't need to put the workbench together because I'm not going to use it. This is a job for late winter, early spring, when all the rest is finished. So it's off the list. And it was a worry. It's gone. So all that was needed was a plan. So we have a plan. We will downsize the orchids. And I will take advantage of the exercise of downsizing to get a few videos. And they could be quite useful videos to talk about why, the reasoning, and all that sort of stuff. So we'll take advantage of that. And then this frame to get rid of the rubbish means I can bag the stuff up myself. Taking it round the tip, I mean, somebody suggested you can get a cubic metre container to put all your rubbish in. Now try and get it down there. Nothing big goes down there. And I don't even like going down there because quite honestly it's downright dangerous. Whoever put that paving down did the most appalling job. It's higgledy-piggledy, and when it's wet it's slippery. It's just, this alleyway is a bad news. It's bad. It's a bad deal. I don't use it. And guess where they put the gas meter? There, where people can tread on it and break it. There's been some bad stuff done here. Anyway, we have a plan. And that plan now makes me feel an awful lot better. I can see the end to that section of the garden, possibly in one more session, preceded by getting rid of this, or at least getting it bagged up and getting it out of the way, because it might be an idea not to go round the tip or the dump, whatever you call it. It's a dump in one country, a tip in another. It might pay to just hold fire, getting that lot in the car until I've got this lot down and added to it. Because once the seats are down in the car, I can get a lot in there. Those of you who remember Hannah and me loading up the car to move round here, we got a lot in there from floor to roof with the seats down. So there we go. That's the plan. Forget the bonsai staging and all that it entails until the garden's done. And when the garden's done, this area will be clear and I'll have somewhere to work to make the staging. That makes sense. And we do the garden a section at a time. We finish that one off and get rid of everything. That's like a phase finished. Then we move down and have a go at that lot. That's another phase. And get that bagged up. Another bit finished. Because all the bonsai will have to move. Then the bonsai can move back somewhere near where they are now, and we can have a go at those two huge laurel bushes. Because they need to come out of the way so that I can get at what's behind them. That's a big job, but it's not insurmountable, and none of this, with any luck, is going to need the steps. Because cutting off those large pieces of wood down there, I can do with my long-handled saw. And once the big pieces are down on the ground, I can just hack them to pieces, either with my handsaw or with the secateurs. So I'm hoping to avoid the need for the steps. And if I avoid the need for the steps, I avoid the need for the help. So I'm not dependent on somebody else. But I will still have a chat with Hannah. She's down the last weekend of the month for the Orchids show. We'll have a good chat about all this. Hopefully this lot will all be done by then, and we'll possibly try and work out sort of into November time, in between the end of October and Christmas. Perhaps she could do a long weekend, come down on the Friday and do Friday, Saturday and Sunday and give me a hand with all this lot. And we would, between the two of us, we would make a big hole in that in one go. That's if I haven't already done it, which I doubt. The main thing with this plan is none of it is urgent. And that's the bit that makes me feel so much better. Somebody also suggested that I ought to get a few ferns in the grow room. Yeah, I agree. We've got some out here ready to go. Yeah, maybe. So there we go. That's the plan. Summing it up, we go back to the one shelf rack at a time, and as we do it, we downsize. Literally as we go round. The chances are I will also combine that with watering. So that kills a lot of birds with one stone. We get a shelf watered. We don't water that which we're going to get rid of. But out of what's going to be got rid of, some of it has to be put to one side, because some of it will go to other people. Now, I've already got one person showing an interest because it can be delivered. I'm not too keen on the idea of boxing stuff up again. That really drove me up the wall last time I did that. But some of it is not in a good state to pass on to other people. It'll just go in the bin. So, you know, we will work on that. So that will be an ongoing process out here that's starting from now. Literally, it starts now. Already in my mind, I'm thinking about, yeah, well, you've been on borrowed time for long enough. As soon as I get round to you on your shelf, you're out. So that's already thought about. Get on with that. Don't worry about the staging, and divide the garden up into sections and deal with them one section at a time with my nice new frame that's going to hold my bags open and allow me to bag up the stuff and take it to the tip, so I can clear up as I go and not end up with a mountain so high I can't even see the bird feeder. So there we go. And that really is down to you lot. Because if I hadn't stood up and said it all out loud, my worries and my woes and my concerns, I'm not sure this plan would have come about. And it takes me back to when I first started doing the training courses, you know, when I worked in IT. Before I went on to the consultancy, I was a trainer. The consultancy was a lot of one-to-one stuff or training small groups that was interactive, but prior to that I did a lot of training which was like, you know, PowerPoint presentations with handouts, standing up in front of up to 100 people, you know, with the microphone and the big screen and the projector and all that sort of stuff. While I was training to do that job, training to be a trainer, well, yeah, the guy who I was going to be doing a lot of work instead of him doing it, he basically said that all you need to do to find out if your training is going to be good is to do it out loud. You can go over it as many times as you like in note form, but until you stand up and say it out loud, you're not going to know if it's going to work. And I said, that's all very well, but they don't give us time to do that. He said, yeah, they will. If you back me up, we'll get that done. And every time we produce a new training course to do with either new software and or new legislation to go out and, you know, train up the users and all that sort of stuff, we will run it past the designers and the implementers and everybody that's involved. So you will be training the people that designed the software, that did the changes, that interpreted the legislation. You'll present the course to them. They'll find holes in it, but they'll be good, because at the end of it, you'll feel better for having done it out loud. You'll have tidied it up, picked out the little holes and fixed them, and you'll be confident that what you're going out with is going to work. That's where I am now. I'm confident that this plan is going to work. The only thing that can stop the outdoor stuff is weather. Well, it doesn't rain for the whole of the winter in this country. We do get a lot of rain, I must admit, and I'm not working in the rain. That ain't going to happen. Me and water don't mix. But there will be gaps. And I'm retired. I'm not dependent on waiting till the weekend because I'm at work all week and then it rains Saturday and Sunday and I'm back at work on Monday. I haven't got that problem. Every day is the same. So when we get nice weather and I'm in the mood, we'll get a bit more done. And it will gradually get done a bit at a time. And taking away that bonsai staging out of the list until the garden's done really has lightened the load. It really has. It's still a major job to do, but it can be done when there's nothing else left to do, because all the other jobs have been done in the meantime. Does that sound like a good plan? Have I done a good job? Careful how you answer that. There's a lot of thought gone into this. Yeah, you could be excommunicado. What film's that from then? Yeah, anyway, I'm happy with my plan, and I'm happy that I can fulfill it. I'm happy I can get it done. And it all started with standing up and saying that my problems and my worries and woes out loud, followed by getting up this morning and seeing that huge mass of comments. And again, really thank you for just being there. That's all it is, really, just being there. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Thanks again.